Hey everybody, this is Kara Brindle. Welcome back to another The Pivoting Practice. This is a video series all about diversifying your income, battling burnout, and branching out from the client work that we all love and definitely don't want to do 40 hours of, as you've heard from me. Today we have two amazing guests with us. We have Carla and Lori with us, and they are a team. They're going to talk about what they're building, what they're doing. Thank you both for being here.
We started a pivot during COVID. So I'm Lori Johnson. And we collaborated out of a need during the pandemic, having a lot of clinicians reach out to us and need some consultation on OCD and exposure and response prevention. So I have a private practice in focused counseling in the Lakewood area, and we do all things OCD as well as addiction. And noticing that, clinicians need a little more training. Carla and I were kind of lamenting towards each other and kind of came up with our little baby Modern Therapist Training Collective. Yay. So Carla, I'll let you go.
Yeah.
Yes.
So I'm Carla, and I have a practice in Westminster, Ignite Counseling, Colorado, and I trained under the purview of Lori here. And so we became just close colleagues and collaborators. And as Lori said, this was really born out of necessity and our desire to really elevate our colleagueship in the way of this important topic of training and supervision of clinicians who are conducting ERP therapy for treatment of OCD. Mm-hmm. So it was born out of that desire to give back to the community of colleagues, to create greater accessibility. We have, some programs that offer ERP, but none that are here homegrown. And so we wanted to be able to offer something local and accessible. So that was really the impetus. Affordable.
Yeah, affordable too. We were kind of lamenting with each other, like, what are we going to do? And we can't send our clinicians here. And this doesn't have another training until like May, or we can't go in person now with COVID. So I think lamenting about things created a fire under us.
Yeah.
Well, sure. And what I love about what you both described is there was a pain point, right? There was a need and you wanted to fill that need, which for a lot of us as entrepreneurs and therapists, which I think you both wear this hat as well, that's what we do is we say, oh, there's something that's missing. There's a gap, which Carla and I, we have a different project where we were like, there's a gap, so like we find that and then you meet that need. It's a beautiful thing. And hopefully it's rewarding for both of you, which is actually the next question of what's rewarding about training. So I feel like you've touched on a couple things, but what else would you like to highlight about saying, hey, we built a training program?
Yeah. I think for me, it's meeting new people and like meeting experienced clinicians and just having everybody learn and be like, oh my gosh, I thought I knew about OCD and now I know nothing. And now I'm freaked out. And they're kind of going through this whole journey again of like, tell me, help me. It's really cool to see those light bulbs go off. So I think that's the fun part, and making serious conversations kind of a fun learning experience, giving clinicians who are learning a little bit of laughs during training. Like we laugh a lot. I cuss a lot. So
love it.
Trainings, you get the raw element of things, but being able to have fun and like be real and authentic. I think that's been the funnest part for me.
Yeah. Love it. Carla, what about for you?
Well, I would echo that. And I was also thinking about how gratifying it has been to bring folks together, bring colleagues together, because in particular with the pandemic, if there was latent OCD going on with a client, it's now at the forefront. And so Lori and I were getting requests for consultations every week from colleagues in our community. And that was, another conversation she and I had of how can we got to do this better. How can we get us together and really take advantage of the collective of putting our heads together. We're all learning. I love the fact that I walk away from those training conversations learning things. That feels really gratifying, and being able to address that need, because it happened, and it happened really significantly, where colleagues were coming forward and saying, I thought that this was anxiety with this client, or I am seeing this with the kiddo clients that I am treating. And I have no idea. I don't know how to assess for this. I don't know thing one. Help me with that part. How do I make sure I'm doing this in an ethical way? That felt really cool to be able to address.
Yeah. Well, I imagine as the demand went up, I definitely resonate with the how do you fit in all those consultations into your day when you already have so much going on? So I love that a training program can meet that and fill that need. Is there any challenge of training that you would think people should consider if they're thinking about building a training program or even just a course?
Yeah. After you're done with the training, I'm like, oh yeah. After you're done with the training, you're going to be like, I got to do another training. There's, I mean, a little bit of perfectionism for like getting everything out there. You can't do everything. You build upon that. And I think as soon as, after every training is done, we like get done and stop recording. And then we're like, oh my gosh, we got to do another training.
Yeah.
Just because so many cool things came out from even the things that we're saying out loud and the agreements that we have with each other, like, oh, we forgot this component and let's build from there. So I think that that's always a challenge. And as a recovering perfectionist or perfectioneer in your era, just being able to like let some of that go. Like it's about the essentials, and it doesn't need to be perfect, and you're not going to teach every single thing, right? That's how we became, experts in the area, is years and years and years and years of training and honing in on that craft. So that doesn't come from a training institute or doing those things yourself initially.
Right. Like 2 hours and you're an expert. That's not how this works.
No, not at all.
Fair enough. Carla, what would you say is a challenge?
I would agree with what Lori is saying, and my spin on that is that there can be seemingly endless content, and also getting really helpful, encouraging feedback from colleagues who had attended the training, like, how about this topic, and what about this, and so really continuing to build our wish list. And making sure, so Lori and I always have to keep each other honest. We're like, okay, we've got all of these grand plans and this excellent feedback from our community. So how do we still make sure it's anchored in something that is, what Lori had mentioned? We are working to collectively elevate that knowledge set of how to spot OCD, starting there. How do we spot it? And then for those that wish to go deeper, can we create meaningful content that really builds on that?
Right. So having just the kind of the golden thread throughout of this is what we're here to talk about. And I mean, we use the golden thread a lot in our business. So hopefully that resonates with our viewers.
And like the bite-sized pieces, you don't have to do it all. And I think that's the thing, like, Carla's trained in EMDR, and getting all of those certifications as a clinician, like, we're always like, okay, we got to do it all. And we're setting out on a 5-year feat. We did the complete opposite of that. Like, you're going to get a bite-sized little bit and figure out what you need from there.
Yeah, I love that approach. I think that probably makes it a little bit more digestible just because it is bite-sized. So obviously some of our viewers are probably really excited and like, just show me where the trainings are. So let's talk about where they find you. How do they consult? How do they get the training materials? Where can they find it?
So we have a website called Modern Therapist Training Collective, a nice mouthful. But modern therapist training collective.com. And we have a shop there for on-demand trainings. We are adding content all of the time. We have a place in that shop to sign up for consultation, for supervision. So we're really trying to Lori's point, offer some of those bite size. There are packages, and then you can do them a la carte. And so we've got that at moderntherapisttrainingcollective.com. So we're trying to funnel all of the good stuff onto that website.
Perfect.
And then we are present on social media, Instagram.
Yep.
Yeah.
We cherry picked that one. If that's a little tidbit out there for you.
Fair enough.
Instagram, and it's Therapist Training Collective.
There you go. So people can still find you in all the different ways that they want to. That's wonderful. What's one final tip you have? Because I feel like you've given a lot of awesome ideas for folks who want to build a training program. Is there one final thought that you have to share with our viewers?
The one that comes to my mind is build in a mindful way. So for example, Lori and I are in the process of looking at training platforms, but we didn't just dive in and subscribe. So it created, user beware. It created more
technology issues.
Yes. Manual effort on our part. However, I feel personally good about growing in a really smart way rather than creating an experience where we've got all of these bells and whistles, but we're still building the plane. Right. So we don't know what we need quite yet. So I think, that takeaway of don't be afraid to start somewhere, even if you don't have all of the training platform and this or that or a website. Just begin in a way that feels really organic and authentic.
I love that. And I think, Lori, you said something similar earlier in the video when you said, don't be a perfectionist, just put something out there, see what the community has to say, get some feedback and go from there. I think those are both very good pieces of advice for a training program.
Yeah. And it's hard.
Are endless.
Yeah. And if you're sitting there thinking about it and it's like, how do I do this? How do I do it? Like, what's the most simple thing that you can do to get that out there? Right. Do you want it to be in person? Now that we're going back to things like what's the simplest step you can make? What do you want to get out there? And I think, looking at big trainers and people who do this all the time, I was like totally intimidated. Like, I'm not going to compete with them. I don't need to compete with them, and that's been really nice. Just kind of let that go.
I love that. I think this video is amazing. I think everything you've shared has been so worthwhile because I know people are questioning, like, is it too much? Is it intimidating? So hopefully this video is going to give them some ideas and things to ruminate on. I appreciate you both so much and your wisdom, your lived experience building a training program, and I'm excited to put it here at the bottom so people can jump in there and see what you built. Thank you both so much.
Thank you.
All right, viewers, of course, stay tuned, viewers, for future therapist entrepreneurs that are coming on to the future episode. We'll see you then.